Hey there everyone, this is Mystic Fish and welcome to episode 11 of our Factorio Sushi Spectacular. Let's see, I think we are going to work this episode on, let's see, where's our research agenda? We're going to work out, I think, how to get most of our power out of oil. We are running low on coal. Actively sort of tuning through those. Whereas we've got plenty of oil up here. And I think with the advent of advanced oil processing, we'll be able to be much more efficient about what we use for power. And that'll preserve our coal for a little longer. As I mentioned last episode, it'll be a little more compact on the sushi belt. So I will be back after we finish the research for advanced oil processing, and we will take it from there. Okay, we are done with our research for advanced oil processing. So I think let's begin working on some of the power stuff. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to update I talked a little bit about reserving the space here on the capacity so that we have separate capacity for power. So I think what I want to do, and this needs to go here. So I think what we want to do is we want to take this amount here, right, that 2100 coal. I think we want to disconnect this. We want to take the C up here, and then we want to add these together. So we want to say everything plus 0, and we're going to output, let's see, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to say, okay, what items do I need for power? That'll come in here, and we'll say, we'll call that I. So we'll say I need 2100 items for power. Then I want to take that from here. I want to take the C from here. And because this is coming out negative, I can add it to the C and that will subtract. So I want to take everything plus 0 and output A for the available capacity, which we can see is 9,800, right? Which is less than capacity, 9,800. Okay, then we can go from here down to here and we change this to be A. Okay, so now we're doing proportionally what we were looking for in terms of available capacity. Which you can see A is less than C. In this case over here on the red side, right? A is less than C. So we're multiplying by A instead of by C and then dividing by T, and that should still be right. Okay, I think that updates. Let's actually just check our belt count. 2,000. Okay, that's still right. Okay, so we'll come back and revisit this. Let's come over here. Let's look at power. So here, I'm going to delete this one and show you how we do this again. All right, so we're going to make a subfactory. We're going to call it power. And we want this to run on solid fuel. And I'm going to start with 90 items per minute. And so what does that work out being? So 90 solid fuel per minute times 12. That is the number of megajoules per minute divided by 60. That'll be 18 megawatts, which if we look at power, that's actually what we need to shoot for. So we're going to be doing ratios, so I think it's okay. But now what I want to do is the factory planner lets me do this matrix solver. So I can say, give me solid fuel I mostly want to be producing that from the light oil. I also want to be producing it from the petroleum gas. Let's see if we can finish this. Okay. Sorry, we need to say, where am I getting my light oil from? I'm going to get my light oil from heavy oil cracking. All right, I need to redo this. Ugh. All right. Let's try again. Power. Matrix solver. 90 solid fuel. Okay, give me some. So we make that from the light oil. I'm going to make the light oil from heavy cracking. I'm going to make the heavy oil from advanced oil processing. And I think that is what we want. Now we also have these byproducts. So let's turn these into that. Okay, and then that solves it, okay? So now this is how we put together things to make solid fuel. We see most of it is going to come from the light oil. It's the most efficient way to produce that. But then the leftover petroleum gas will come here. Okay, so we're going to need one refinery doing advanced oil processing. Well, we may come back around and revisit this. So I'm going to convert this into a set of recipes and do some calculations for if I want a certain number of megawatts, how much solid fuel and all this stuff do I need to do that? Okay, so I will be back. Okay, we are back, and I have done math. Okay, so first things first is to figure out, okay, for a certain number of megajoules, and for here, I'm going to shoot for our max production 18 megawatts. So I'm going to put an 18 in here. That's what I'm going to shoot for. So in order to support that, what we do is we multiply by the latency. That gives us, for the round trip, that gives us megajoules. And then we divide that by 12 to get the number of solid fuel we want on the belt. Okay, which in this case would be minus 799. Okay, remember down here, this is actually only shooting for 16 megawatts, not 18. But we're about right. Like this is about a third, which is what we should expect. Okay, now the question is, all right, we need all of these fluids on the bus. So how much do we need? And how do we figure that out? Okay, so the first thing to do is let's look at crude oil. So I need 986 per minute. And this needs to be in ratio with the solid fuel per minute, right? 986 to 90. Now 986 is the fluid oil. So we want to divide that by 50. And that gives us, we'll call it 20. So 20 barrels of crude oil per minute. So what we do is we take the number of solid fuel times 20 in output barrels, and then we feed that into here and divide it by 90, which if you remember is the ratio up here, right? So essentially we just computed the ratio. So whatever we figure out for solid fuel based on our power needs, then we compute a ratio, and that should give us the number of crude oil barrels that we need, which in this case is 177. Okay, so I went and just I did the same, convert all of these into barrels, and got those all in here. So these all take the solid fuel as the input, and then divide by or multiply by the appropriate ratio, depending on how that works in the recipe. And then all of these come down here to give us the total barrels that we need of each of these fluid items. And then I fed that output into here and basically said, for each barrel of flue item, I also need an empty barrel on the belt as well so I can fill and refill it. And so we can see that adds up to minus 557. Okay, now I think what this means is we can take these three outputs, right, which is the amount of solid fuel, the amount of barrels filled and empty, and we can put those into our count of items for power. Like that. Okay, now the available items for power is counting without bound, which that's not good. Take that off. Take you out, put you back. All right, that's all solid. We just need this in a way that doesn't count what's coming in here. Output signals I. Okay, so maybe I just need to do this. Okay. That looks like a lot of barrels. That looks like a lot of empty barrels. That doesn't seem right. What's coming in here on inputs? No, not all of these should be coming in on inputs. Oh, it's because they chained up here. Okay, that's actually okay. Because what I can do is I can disconnect the green wire here, and I can just do a red wire for this. Okay, that looks better. And we're getting the 557 here. Okay, so we're consuming right now for power needs, we're consuming 4,000 items of capacity. Total capacity is 12,000. So we're actually using a third of the belt for power, which means available is 8,000. Okay, this is this is okay because we have to. I think we need to provide both of these while we do the conversion, and so I think output signal here we can put this into our demand, and hopefully that says that we're getting the 799 solid fuel. We can add this to our demand, which puts all those in. And then we can add this to, whoa, that is not right. Oh, it's because it's connected here. Okay. Take that off. I think I need to do a little insulator trick, which says, give me these inputs, give me these inputs, do nothing to them, and then connect from here to there. Okay. Does that put, yeah, we can see heavy oil, light oil. Okay, that's right. All right, we have now updated the demands for things. And I think what we need to do, okay, so what's our, this is actually the rates that we want. Oh, but I'm gonna need to come back and fix these. So we are gonna use productivity modules in all of these for sure. Okay, that changes all the ratios, of course. So I'm gonna fix those, and then we will, let's see, what do we got up here? Oh, I did a little too much undoing. Okay. All right, I think I want to do the advanced oil processing and stuff up here on the way into the power. How are we on wood? There's no need particularly to get more wood, so I think we can use tree removal devices up here. All right, I am going to come back after we have our refinery and cracking designs up here, and we will revisit that. So I'll be back to orient you around how that is going to work, and I'm going to update the ratios with the use of the productivity modules. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back, and I have been busy. So first off, we set up advanced oil processing, which is this monstrosity here. Now, it's actually looks a lot more complicated than maybe it really is. This is the standard water and oil inputs, which we're getting with barrels here. And as usual, we're putting the empties back on. Up here, we are barreling the petroleum gas, light oil, and heavy oil up here. Because we don't have sort of reflectional symmetry on the refineries, it means that these are in different orders on opposite sides of the belt, but I left myself enough room that I could actually get two side by side here. So this is pretty straightforward. One of the changes that I made down here was I took the rate here, which is 1020 oil. I divided on the core refinery, and I divided that by 50 to get barrels of oil. And that's what I used to set the demand down here. So that should hopefully require buffering up a lot less than we were doing on the other side. I may go back and fix that calculation here. Okay, and next up we have heavy oil cracking, which looks like these guys. So we have the chem plant in the middle. We are unbarreling the heavy oil and water barrels here to feed them in, and then sending the light output down here to be bottled out on the other side. And then we got one same thing on the other side here too. Otherwise, inputs, outputs, wiring, buffer, calculations, all the same as everything that we've been seeing. Down here, we have the solid fuel production. So we've got some that are cracking the light oil by unbarreling it and then generating the solid fuel here. Here we are actually tracking enabled so that we don't put more on than we need. And then if you'll remember, taking a look at this recipe, we do have some spare petroleum gas that we also want to turn into solid fuel. So we are doing that down here. Okay, so here we go. So this whole thing takes water and oil and eventually cracks it down to solid fuel. So let's come over to the power here. The main update I made was I added, if I was going to buffer 27 coal, then I should buffer 9 solid fuel, and that should be the same amount, because it's 3 times as dense. And so that means that these guys now are all buffering up solid fuel as well. In some of these cases, I've actually put the solid fuel in, as you can see. But I've only gone halfway. So like, for example, this one still has coal. That one has solid fuel. This one has coal. So what I've been doing is, we can see the filters are off, which means I've built up the buffer that I need here of solid fuel. So I'm just going to turn this burner inserter briefly. I'm going to pull out the coal. I'm going to get some solid fuel in and put this in, and then put the burner inserter back. And now, as long as there's solid fuel in here, that's what the burner inserter will try to insert. So this should work correctly for us. I think I'm going to leave the coal in the Do I want to do that? No, I think I want to, once I convert these, I think I want to take the coal off the buffers here. We'll leave it in there as a backup, but we should not be, the whole point is to not be generating more coal for power. You've got your stuff, so we'll take, oh, we got to rotate you. Put you back, rotate. Take you out, put you in, turn you back on. Now you're putting solid fuel in. Okay, rotate. Take you out, solid fuel. Whoops. Okay, solid fuel is going in, that's good. Rotate. You're out, solid fuel in. Rotate. Gotta put it the right way. All right, good, solid fuel is going in. And then this is the last one that we need to do. I guess we need some more of this. Or we will rotate you. We will get the coal out, put the solid fuel in, and put it back. Okay, now all of our boilers are running on solid fuel. So that is exciting, which means we can get rid of that. And then I believe it also means we can come down here and we can get rid of this one because we no longer need to put all that coal on here. And so if we look at the demand, coal is much smaller. So that's good stuff. Okay, what else do we have? Let's see, capacity was 12K. Now available capacity is 10K. So we went from available capacity 8K to 10K. So we just made more room on the belt for things other than energy. So that is good news. The next step, I think, is we can convert our smelting to solid fuel as well. So how do we want to do that? So if we come down here, we've got 2 coal. We can probably do 1 solid fuel. And then we'll start buffering solid fuel in there too. So that's good. Then we can do the same thing here. Nope. Solid fuel. Now you'll all grab solid fuel. And actually, let's see, how much solid fuel are you getting? 8, so that's okay. Let's have you do solid fuel as well. And let's have you do solid fuel as well. Okay. So once that is done buffering solid fuel, we can come back around. We can update our recipes here. So for example, we can go back to red and green. Where's our smelting recipes? So we can open this and we can say, hey, I want to use solid fuel instead. And same here. And then it will tell us how much of this we need. This is fine, it doesn't really matter because we really just need this number here. And so that means, hey, we will not need any coal for red and green anymore. Okay. Then we will come and do the same thing for black. You'll do these. You'll do these. You'll do these. You'll do these. Put that on to get the amount there. And then finally we can do blue. So we can do, give me solid fuel for the smelting, solid fuel for the smelting, solid fuel for the smelting. That's it, you don't use stone bricks. And then we just put that on. Okay, so we can go back around and update the demands. I think we will do that. Looks like we have stockpiled, these guys have stockpiled all of their solid fuel, which means we can take the coal off of here. These guys are still filling up on solid fuel, so that's okay. All right, so let's take a look. Red and green. You now need 0 coal and 5 solid fuel. So we can put the 5 solid fuel here, and we can clear that. Cool. Black science. That's not black science. That's black science. No, excuse me. Needs 225 coal, 10 solid fuel. So we can change this to 225 and 10 solid fuel. Right, that's what we said. And then if we look at blue, this now needs 52 coal and 11 solid fuel. 52 coal and 11 solid fuel. Okay. I should dramatically reduce our need for coal. It does. We're down to 128, so that's a lot less. We actually have tons of coal on the belt now, so I think that'll be it. This guy is done buffering solid fuel. I don't see solid fuel on the filter inserters anymore, so that means we can take this off. Did you get all your solid fuel? You did. So we can take that off. And did you get all your solid fuel? You did. And so we can take that off. And that should burn off the coal that's in there. Right, it'll keep sticking coal in until it's out of coal in here. And then it should switch over to solid fuel. So there you go. I think that's actually a pretty big win. Let's take a look at where we're at with power. I think we dropped power because we are probably mining less coal now. But we definitely have enough headroom for the power. And we are fully on solid fuel now for power. So that is exciting. We've got things actively working over here. We've got the advanced oil processing actually running full speed for right now. Let's take a look at our demand. We need 1,600 or so solid fuel. We have 1,400 on the belt. So I think we will very quickly, hopefully, fulfill all that demand and then stop. If you remember, we calculated enough for there to be 18 megawatts, and we're not using 18 megawatts, which should mean that we have enough opportunity to get the solid fuel everywhere it is wanted. And which means we now have a surplus of coal on here, as we said before. Right, green, if we look at the green signal for coal, 1,400, we actually need 128. So we will happily consume all of that coal as we go. Let's see, I am going to come update the buffer demands over here. So buffer demands for these barrels are correct. But this is the one we need to adjust. So here I'm doing 1020 of oil. 1020 divided by 50 is 21. So I can actually change this guy to be 21. I don't need all of that oil barrel in here. We can have a much smaller sort of target here, which in this case will be 127 or so. So that is fine. The output's negative, right? So it doesn't want anymore. So that's okay. Right, here's the output. Now it's 186 instead of some absurdly high amount. This should still be 225 barrels, which it is. And so we should be able to copy this demand into... nope. That's the barrels for the water. Oh, I think it's probably already updated. Yeah, it is. Okay. So that's working correcter. Up here, let's see. My input rate is also 1020. So that means I only need 21 of these, not 225. So that's good. And then up here, you consume 1530 water. Calculator. 1530 water divided by 50 is 31. So I need 31 barrels of water. Where's my demand? This guy. I only need 31 of these. And then where's my... You need also 1530 petroleum gas. So that should be the same amount, 31. So I only need 31 of these. Okay, so that should reduce the bus buffer drastically. I do want to come and check the steel because I think because we're producing the steel and primarily, and we have access, the barrel creation has access to it here before we get to producing any of the red ammo or the other things for science that use the steel. I think we don't actually need to add extra steel because the barrels will get recycled. So we really only need to use to build those in. And so I just want to check that for blue science, steel should be 39, which it is. Okay, so we didn't add more and this should be correct. Okay, there we have it. That is updated. What's our current rates looking like? 12 science per minute. Okay, so we crank things up there, but most importantly, I think we will no longer be burning through the coal nearly as fast. So that is excellent, excellent stuff. Okay, that's actually pretty exciting. Are we? I think now the question is, what do we want to do next? Let's take a look at the research. So the next obvious things are really going to be, I think, purple and yellow science. I don't want to do bots. Bots would be convenient, and we'll have to research them, but I don't actually want to build construction or logistics bots because they'll just take too much power. And so I think, I'm not doing that much building of stuff. I don't really mind doing it by hand very much. So I think that's okay. And but I think we want to make sure we get all the blue science and blue and black science out of the way before we start on doing purple science. I think purple science will be next. So that will let us get, in particular, I think the main things, beacons might be interesting. We can put efficiency modules into them. Automation, assembly machine 3s are interesting just because we can get more modules in. I don't think we have plenty of oil. Obviously, blue belts, those will be interesting to do. Excuse me. And then, the tier 3, we'll need the tier 3 modules. Hey, where are they at? Well, they're definitely a prerequisite of these. Here they are. I'm just not seeing them on the research queue here, but that's okay. We don't need to see them on the research queue. We know that they're there. So that, let's see, what else do we have? Purple science. I think that'll be it. We'll get the belts going and beacons and the tier 3 modules. We'll switch over to yellow science just so we can get primarily, I think, RCUs. Maybe we'll get fancier armor. I don't know. And obviously we'll need the rocket silo. But I think we don't want to start building the next tier of science until we're done with the current tier. So I think what that means is I'm going to chew through the remaining blue and black research that I think will be useful for us. I'll do that off camera. And when we come back, I think that means we'll be able to start on the purple science. So we'll probably do that next episode, but that will be a problem for future Mystic Fish. So as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And until then, bye.